really can focus on the things that we can just find locally in our own grocery stores. So, Amber, I'll let you take it away.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Like Danae was explaining, this class is more for things that we can try and find easily and more readily because there's more and more of these grain-free options coming out. And I found this grain-free breadcrumbs, if you will. It's 0 grams and 1/8 of a cup. We can contact the company for the unrounded stuff, but this is a breading option that I have now seen. You have to look for the cassava one. They do have one with almond meal, and that's obviously going to be higher. But I did find things like that. And the thing is, a lot of these are also showing up a lot lower in calories, which is good for some. She mentioned hearts of palm.
An older patient.
Yeah.
Everything's so high calorie.
20 calories in this in a serving, and 1 gram of protein per serving. This is lasagna sheets made with hearts of palm, which we did a lasagna with it, remember?
Yeah.
It was good, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So it worked in for me too, because I'm trying to keep a lower calorie diet for myself. So, okay. The first thing we're going to start working with is the marinated jackfruit. I marinated mine overnight, and it has everybody got the recipes, correct?
I did email them,
okay.
But I can email them or I can link them in the chat section below if people would like them. I'll do that right now in the chat.
All right. So I marinated this with onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of vegetable stock, and a little bit of wine. You don't have to use the wine. You can just use extra vegetable broth if you like. I just like using wine. It adds a lot of extra flavor. So we are going to go ahead and put it in my pot here. It's going to be kind of difficult to see, but it's going to be in there, and we have 1/2 cup of vegetable broth mixed with 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce. It's not for this recipe, sweetie. We're going to go ahead and add this one. What we're going to do, we're going to let this simmer until the jackfruit is fork tender enough that we can break it apart or mash it apart. And then after that, we're going to move it over to the side, and we'll move on to the next recipe, because after it cooks, we're going to move it to a cooked baking sheet, and we're going to put it under the broiler and let it kind of crisp up a little bit. Gets a nice coating and glaze on it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let that start to heat up a little bit. We want this to simmer again because we want it nice and tender. If you have barbecue seasoning, you can use barbecue seasoning if you want. Any barbecue sauce is okay if it fits within your diet.
What if it's spicy?
If you want spicy, you can always add sriracha to it or use a spicy sauce, buffalo sauce.
No spicy.
You like something spicy?
Only pasta.
Oh.
Meat.
Okay.
Not so spicy.
I'm not a big fan.
Now she's slowly finding things she does like that way. Like I make a buffalo mac and cheese for her, she loves it. So, okay, let that get going. While this is working, I'm gonna kind of move on to the feta pasta for now, because it's got to go in the oven as well. So, you can find the Violife feta blocks at a lot of grocery stores now. Walmart's starting to carry Violife, Meijer's carrying Violife, and the Whole Food stores are carrying Violife. It's becoming increasingly popular. So, excuse me.
And I have seen a couple of, if you have trouble finding that one locally, now Follow Your Heart has feta, and Trader Joe's even has the dairy-free feta. I know that the Follow Your Heart one is pretty low. I'm not sure about the Trader Joe's, but I haven't actually been able to find it locally, but I have seen it.
If you can find a mozzarella block, that would probably work in its place if you can't find it. So there's the feta. We're gonna put it in our pan. Put it right there in the middle. Thank you. All right. We're gonna put it right there in our pan. All right. Now. Say it again.
Do you need to like grease it or anything in advance?
I don't. If you have a metal pan, yes, you could put a little olive oil in the bottom to keep it from sticking. Yeah, that probably would be a good idea. My pan doesn't need it, but yes, I would go ahead and put a little oil in the bottom. Okay, now we're going to take some chopped garlic, put it in our pan alongside the feta. Samantha, you want to get the tomatoes?
Yeah.
Put them all around here for me. And I'll try to hold it up for everybody to see. But we're putting the tomatoes in around the feta block. Good girl.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of slide on me, but I don't know if you can't get it to come in very well visually, but there are tomatoes all around the feta block. We're gonna sprinkle a little Italian seasoning, about a teaspoon's worth, on top, right on top of that feta.
And on top of the tomatoes.
And we're gonna drizzle some olive oil right on top of everything, the tomatoes, the feta block, all of it. Excuse me. Okay. Now we're going to take this and put it in the oven. Okay. Put that in the oven for about 15 minutes. Gives a chance for the feta to soften, and it's going to melt and break apart, and the tomatoes are going to get soft and a little juicy, so we're going to mash all that together with the pasta later, and that itself is making the sauce. Okay, we got the jackfruit starting to simmer. Okay. Oops, watch your fingers.
Amber, can you correct me if I remember correctly, that your recording is from the aerial view?
Yes, it is from the aerial view. So I will put this on Facebook or YouTube later so everybody can find it. I'm not having good...
A different perspective when it's actually uploaded. So.
Yep, so I'm going to move this off to the side. We can start doing the Orzo pasta. Move this one over here. Okay, we're going to continue to let the jackfruit cook for about 12 to 15 minutes. Where's my other pan? Over there. There's my pan. All right. Now, this is going to be for the Orzo, the sun-dried tomato Orzo. I had sun-dried tomatoes in oil, so I actually, instead of using olive oil, I used the oil out of the sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to have onions that we're going to saute with this oil.
A little bit of garlic.
We will have a little bit of garlic, but we need this to go ahead and heat up. Yep, you'll need that. All right, let's let the oil heat up a little bit. And then as soon as the oil's ready, we're going to put in our onions and saute them until they're translucent. Give them an aromatic. Okay. After the onions have sauteed, we're going to put in the garlic and saute it for a minute, and then we'll start combining everything for the Orzo. So while that is heating up, I did come across this as well. It's grain-free cassava penne. 1 gram per, yep, there it is cooked. We're going to use this in with the feta pasta, but if you guys have the fusilli, that's fine, just use that. I just happened to come across it, so I thought I would go ahead and show it since we have the same brand of Orzo.
Right here.
Yep, that's the Orzo.
Which I like that better. Penny.
Alright.
Can we put salt and pepper in it?
Yeah, we will. We got salt and pepper right there. She's a big pepper fan. Aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Alright, stop eating the pasta. I gotta use it. There we go. Alright. There we go. That's always a lovely sound.
Some garlic?
Not yet. You gotta let the onions cook a little bit first. Then we'll add the garlic.
And a little bit of this.
Yep, we'll add Italian seasoning, a little bit of wine. If you don't want to use wine, you can use chicken broth, vegetable broth. In a minute. Yeah, we
Oh,
will.
yeah, we did. Like the whole cup?
Yeah, that whole quarter cup. If anybody has questions, I don't know if I can see them if you have to type them, but maybe Danae can read them to me if there are any questions.
Or you can unmute yourself and ask too. So
Okay.
we're not a shy group.
Yes, please feel free.
But I'm glad to read them if you'd rather type them.
Ow.
All right, careful. Let those saute for a minute. Check on the jackfruit here.
What are you most excited about, Samantha?
I'm excited about playing with Marley today because we're going to have hamburgers for dinner.
Exciting.
And I made her own burgers yesterday, didn't I?
Saw those. Those look great.
Thank you. One of the many, many uses for that ground beef recipe.
A little bit of garlic.
I made a couple of meatballs, some taco meat.
Garlic.
All right. Now saute and make sure that you want to keep the garlic moving because it will burn pretty quick. I'm going to turn it down to medium low even.
Usually about 30 seconds. I think that's the most I tend to get out of
Yeah,
burgers.
maybe a minute. Okay.
Now add some.
You can definitely smell the garlic and the onions start to smell really nice,
And
especially
then-
with with the oil from the sun-dried tomatoes. It's all kind of coming together.
Now we put some water.
It's wine.
Wine.
Wine. Go ahead. The wine's for flavor. The alcohol cooks out as it simmers. It just adds. I always like cooking with wine. To me, it just adds just a little bit of extra flavor, but it's not necessary for most recipes. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah, press me up, okay. Look, Samantha, we got a visitor.
Get off the table.
All right, that's looking nice. Let that start to simmer just for a minute.
Look to my box.
Show us possibly just so that we...
I will do my best.
Okay.
'Cause
So that's what it looks
keeps
like.
it. There we go.
now.
I
There
don't
we
know.
go.
I don't know. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of there's the wine kind of tilted in it, but there's still plenty of wine in there.
A little bit
Okay.
of this.
We're gonna add the sun-dried tomatoes in there. They're gonna kind of absorb some of the liquid and take on some flavor. Yes. And now our Italian seasoning, again about a teaspoon. A little more, sweetie. I know it's hard.
Oh yeah, it is.
There we go. Okay. I'll show this to you again here in just a moment. See if I can. You can kind of see that it's got some of the seasoning on it.
It seems like when you're in the back of it, it blocks out like the filter, so that worked out really well.
Okay. There we go. Oh, it's kind of hard to see, but it's starting to absorb a little bit. Oh, alrighty. Samantha, can you go over there and stir the jackfruit for me? Thank you. Watch for splash. Okay, so now that's all coming together nice and with flavor. I already pre-cooked the orzo. I did try to, when I made this recipe, I did try to make the orzo like I normally would for most risotto. You usually just cook it in the broth. But with the cassava brands, it's very, very starchy. So that didn't really work for me. So that's why I suggested cooking it ahead of time instead of cooking it with it. That's good. That's good. So mine's pre-made. Again, you can make the orzo the day before and then throw all this together the next day. So we're gonna put about half of this in it because I just went ahead and cooked the entire box.
Is the texture sticky?
Yes.
What is?
It is a little sticky. I did rinse it really well, so I did get a lot of the starch off that way. But it is a little bit sticky. But
I
still,
think sometimes that visual with like that
Yes.
kind of the rice-like pasta is important to kind of know what it's supposed to look like, just because it's trickier.
it can be. We just
you can overcook.
yes. So again, It'll look like it may not be done, but think of it, it comes to the same type of texture pasta does. So if you know the tenderness of pasta, this will all be about the same. So that's usually what I go by. I have to go by taste and texture that way. But yeah, this big chunk of it, and then you can always save the rest of the orzo for some other way of cooking it. I like to cook my pasta. Almost all my pasta I cook in chicken broth or vegetable broth, depending on what it is I'm doing with it. Because I really want, especially the low protein pasta, I really want that to have some flavor. Especially if I'm not going to put like marinara sauce, it's going to cover up the flavor of it anyway. It just adds a little extra flavor to the pasta. So that's always my recommendation, is to use a broth if you can.
You still take it even though you rinse that outlet?
Yeah, because it's still, while I still rinsed off the starch on the outside, it still absorbed the liquid on the inside.
Okay.
So the flavor should still be held there. You will rinse some of it off the outside of it, but it still should have absorbed that flavor. Okay. Good. Well, we want it, while the jackfruit is cooking on the stove over there, it's, again, we're waiting for it to be tender, but we also kind of want the sauce to reduce a little bit and get thicker so that it coats the jackfruit really well. And when we put it in the broiler in the oven, it's going to get a nice little coating and glaze on it from doing that. Okay. And we can turn that off. I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese to it. And I use the Follow Your Heart brand. Again, this is becoming more common. I don't know about the Meyer by you, Danae, but the Meyer here, this is $1.50.
Wow.
I don't know why.
So affordable.
I
I haven't seen it below $3.
I haven't seen it below $5. But
Yeah.
for some reason, the one that I usually go to, it's only been $1.49, so I bought like 4 or 5 of them. Because I thought, well, maybe they're clearancing it out. I don't know.
Find a good deal on anything that's lower in protein.